In our Lenovo ThinkCentre M900 Tiny Project Tiny Mini Micro Guide, we see what this system offers in the 1L system category. We have now published guides and reviews on several systems from major vendors, including other nodes from Lenovo. This is one of the older generation nodes we are looking at for a Project Tiny Mini Micro Guide, but it also has a lot of the features found in newer systems. This makes the M900 Tiny both inexpensive on the second-hand market and surprisingly useful. In this piece, we are going into the least expensive system we purchased for Project Tiny Mini Micro. In Project Tiny Mini Micro, we are purchasing a large number of these devices from different sources. While a standard STH review is of a new product, these TMM nodes occasionally have specs that differ from what one would expect. In all of these pieces, we are going to talk about what makes the nodes unique. We are now well over 20 different nodes to increase diversity. We are testing these on a more circular economy/extended lifecycle basis to see how they can be deployed after their initial use as corporate desktops. For our $160, we received a node with an Intel Core i5-6500T CPU, an 8GB SODIMM for RAM, and no HDD/SSD. We even got an embedded Windows 10 Pro license, which would have cost us around $140 alone. To round out the configuration, we would, at a minimum, add a $25 extra 8GB SODIMM to hit 16GB. We would also grab a 256 to 512 GB SSD for $50 to $60. There are some that would think of the configuration we received as a great PXE boot configuration. However, we think that this configuration needs a bit of augmentation. We are going to go into the hardware overview, then into the key specs. We are then going to talk a bit about performance and power consumption before getting to our lessons learned from these units in our final words. The chassis itself is a fairly standard design for the older ThinkCentre Tiny series. It measures 179 by 182.9 by 34.5 millimeters, 7.05 by 7.20 by 1.36 inches, which puts it just over 1.1 L in displacement. In the front of the chassis, we get headset and microphone jacks as well as two USB 3.0 ports. Some of the newer systems come with 10 gigabits per second USB 3.2 Gen 2 ports and or Type-C ports, but this system was still from Gen 1 Type-A ports as an era. We have also seen some systems offer 3 USB front panel ports on other 1L workstations, but here we have the more common design with 2. On the rear of the unit, one gets 2 DisplayPort headers as standard. There is an optional slot above the NIC where ours has a serial console port. That spot can also be blank, VGA, DP, or HDMI. In our system, we have a VGA header. We also have 4 USB 3 Type-A ports. Some systems of this era used USB 2 ports, so this is a nice upgrade. There is also a small headphone jack on the bottom row of ports. For networking, we can see the 1 GB port. Since this model supports vPro, this is going to be an Intel i219 NIC. We also see the Wi-Fi antenna header. Opening the system is done via a single screw. Lenovo's design, unlike HP's for example, does not retain the screw on the chassis. As a result, one has to keep track of it when working in the unit. The fit and finish for the M900 Tiny are very good, but Lenovo has made some fairly significant improvements over the past 4 generations.